For this week's Day in the Life, I'm doing something you probably have never heard of: pigeon racing. I had the pleasure of learning about the sport of pigeon racing by Joe Gildner. For the last 3 years, Joe has been a member of the Frankenmuth Racing Pigeon Club.
My uncles did it when they were kids, and I kind of had the same reaction you guys did of like, what the heck is that? And he's like, well, I'll buy you some as long as you raise them. So he built me that first coop, got me 6 birds. Now I'm up to I don't know how many.
Gildner tells me that pigeon racing was popular back in the day and served a purpose. The birds were used to carry mail, and one pigeon even received a war medal for delivering a message that saved an American battalion in World War I.
It's instinct to come back. That's just how they're wired. Even though they have small brains and they're not the smartest animal you could find out there, they understand it. It's in their nature. That's why they're called a homing pigeon.
Gildner says the birds can travel up to 700 miles in a single day and uses landmarks in the Earth's magnetic field to find their way home.
I've read online that they can go up to 70 miles an hour. One guy had his race where it was going 11.5 football fields a minute.
The birds are trained by putting them in a cage and placing them in front of the coop in several areas so they get familiar with the location. Then after that, you have to show them how to get inside the coop.
And push him through these bobs. So I'd make him go through those. And see how he went through them? You do that enough times, and eventually when you first do it, they're not gonna go that smooth. They're gonna sit right here and freeze because they see that as a wall. So you can go like this and close the cage behind them and then put the food in and shake the food when you go in so that they know there's food. And you can gently tap them and then they go through.
After the pigeon learns that, the next step is releasing the birds and hoping they come back. Gildner tells me he starts off a mile away from the coop and eventually takes them out farther and farther. And the reason why they come back home is more simple than you would think.
So they both sit on the egg, keep it warm. They do that 24/7. There's always someone sitting on it. And if you let the birds out to fly, that mom or dad will be the first one in. And they will go right back to sitting on top of the eggs. And even when it's born, they both take responsibility of feeding it.
Once the birds are finished with training, then they can compete in races. For the Frankenmuth Racing Pigeon Club, they'll compete 3 times against other club members. Then there's a race called the Combine that will include most of the pigeon clubs across the state.
And they get picked up, and everyone in that combine, the birds get shipped together, and they get let go together. And you know, it's the first one back out of the combine, you know, that wins.
The birds' times are tracked by a computer that every racer has inside their coop. Now, most of the time the races are done just for fun, but there are some competitions that will make you some serious money.
I think it's called the Indiana Hoosier race. I've heard the prize for that one for the first bird is $1 million. So it's definitely not a well-known sport, but there definitely is some financial and other rewards to doing that.
But for Joe, he simply does it for the love of the game. To get more people into the hobby, he hopes to have pigeon racing as a club sport in high schools.
So don't be afraid to take a shot. Another thing I don't think most people realize is you don't need a lot of space. That's something I don't think we talked about. You don't need a big yard because it's the air they need. It's, you know, it's not like a dog or something that has to have room to roam. After spending a few hours with Joe and the sport of pigeon racing, I gotta tell you, I'm absolutely fascinated and I might have to buy a bird myself. But if you guys wanna find out and see if you like the sport, you can find more information on our website at midmichigannow.com. Reporting in Davison, Kyle Macon, Mid-Michigan Now.